Welcome back, friends and neighbors. Hope you guys are doing well. It's Monday night, and we have a lot to talk about. We're going to get into it, answer your questions, talk about the elephant in the room and what's changed. And I think today did change something. So, hey, we're going to get there. Welcome to RGR Football. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you had a nice weekend. I certainly had an interesting one. Lot going on there. Danilo's going to join me here later, as long as everything works out timing-wise. We have a lot to talk about. If you're new, click the like and the bell and the sub and everything else that I can think of. Check out the store. It's in the top of the chat as well. If you want to support us, that's the easiest way to do it. And if you do want to super chat, it looks like Ann already has. Way to beat me to it, Ann. I like that. If you do super chat us, no matter what the dollar amount is, ask a question. Let me get you something for it. Tonight is about you guys. We'll start off with what I think is the big topic that I've already gotten a ton of tweet questions about, and we'll get there in a second. Want to share with you, it's one of those deals. This is usually a weekend where I try to get away and decompress. It didn't work this time. It was pretty stressful, to tell you the truth. We got away for our normal weekend at the lake, if I can get my mic to cooperate. This is what it looked like. When we got there. You might have seen this on social media, but definitely a challenge. And this stuff only got worse as it went through. Got caught in path of a couple of tornadoes yesterday. There were 9 across western Colorado, and it was definitely intriguing, to say the least. So glad to be back and in front of you guys, and we can hang out and talk some football. First and foremost, the question of the day. A lot of questions about whether Julio Jones could end up in Kansas City. PFF floated it. A lot of other people have floated it. And yes, it's always a possibility. Anything's possible with Brett Veach. 177 taught us that, right? At the end of the day, it's a long shot, but it's not impossible. I will say this. There are two things that I think can help that come along. One is the Tyrann Mathieu extension getting done. And I know he said he wasn't going to do that, and he's pessimistic and whatever. I think that's just moving the ball along. I don't think that's anything to be concerned about. I do think it still happens. The other is that Julio agrees to a prearranged contract extension or restructure that reduces cap number. Doesn't have to reduce his overall pay, just has to reduce cap number. That's what's important. Joe Corey from CBS, who's a former agent and does some great writing on how the league is going and what he projects and how agencies work, had a lot to say about the cap going up dramatically in the next 2 years. That's going to be a bunch of it. So let's keep that on the steady. I think the thing about Shannon Sharpe today, talking with him, I don't know if he caught him off guard, if he knew it was on camera or whatever, but just the fact that he said, hey, I'm out of there. That kind of changed the tone for me, in that it's not a maybe. It's, hey, he's asked for trade. He's out. Clearly, I think the Chiefs would be one of the teams. He said he wants to win, and that's got to be the primary motivating factor. And I would think that would put him with some interest in Kansas City. That doesn't seem far-fetched to me in the slightest. A lot of questions out here. Before we get to those, I will say that I'll put the chances at 50-50 at this point. I'm sure there was an initial inquiry. We'll see how far it gets down the road. Also want to remind you, as Stevie is here, the Rogue Head Huddle is something the members are going to begin to enjoy from Stevie and Gooch. I'm sure they'll both be in here tonight. You guys want to check that out. It's going to be, I think, a lot of fun for the members to get some time on here. They're going to walk you through it. So if you're not a member yet, join the memberships. You can get in as much as like $4 a month. And that's that will be included for now, that show only. Normally you have to be in the second tier to get the videos, and that'll still be true. But for these guys, we want to get all of you to get to know them better. You guys know me because I'm always acting at you, but I think you guys are really going to enjoy this. And we've got some other plans coming as well. So the Rogue Heads, I think, is beginning to stick. I have some other plans that are going to be coming as well. Some new merch. I hope you guys are excited about that. I am as well. And with that done, we hit everything that we needed to hit. Aaron's in here. Welcome. Stevie's in here. A lot of members. I'm glad to see you guys. You members are what keeping us rolling in these slower times here. I hope you guys are enjoying Seth on Thursday nights. He's going to continue that. Danilo's got Friday locked down, and Dan's got in between. So we're rolling with our summer program until camp, and then things will change up yet again. See a lot of friendly faces, and remember, if you were new, put some question marks at the beginning of your question. Helps me find them. And Ann is our first super chatter, and she hit the questions you see right here with the you are not off topic at all, Ann. And thank you for the question marks at the beginning to help me figure it. Why not bring Breeland back? And how do you feel about the depth at corner? A couple of things about Breeland. I think people are overreacting to the fact that he's not signed. I know he visited the Minnesota Vikings. I didn't see whether there was a signing there. I don't think there would have. I would have found out about that, but I was out of touch for most of the weekend at the lake. There's no service there, so I don't get back in touch until I got back late last night, and I didn't see anything today. So two things. I don't think it's an overreaction to the Super Bowl. I don't think it's that performance. I think the refs had a lot to do with it, and I think they understand that. And quite frankly, I think the Chiefs know what his weaknesses are, and they can live with it. They understand that about all their guys, to tell you the truth. So I don't think it's a performance-specific thing. Was he not as productive in 20 as he was in 19? Yeah, I think that's a fair evaluation. I don't think that means that he can't be. So I think it really is about Bashaud seeing the end of his career coming here in the next few years, and he needs and wants to make his big contract, his last big contract. And I think that he's holding out for money that maybe he's hoping will come when some starter goes down, that it can afford to pay more than the Chiefs can. Maybe that happens, maybe it doesn't. And maybe we end up with, before camp, Bashaud Breeland is back in the Chiefs uniform because the market hasn't appeared for him. I know that's difficult in his situation. Being an older corner, it gets difficult to play, and you want to make your contracts while you're still in playing shape. So I think there's just a lot yet to be seen on that topic. That said, in terms of the corner depth, I think they have good depth. I think they have completed what they wanted to do in getting dramatically younger over the last couple of seasons, and that's good. The question mark comes is how much risk are they taking in guys like DeAndre Baker coming off of injury, Bo Peep Keys not having that experience yet. Like, there's a lot of question marks. I think your top four now are pretty set. I like Fenton. I like him on the field better than I've liked Hughes. I had Hughes a lot higher in the draft, and that made sense. I do feel like Hughes and he are going to be competing for the nickel spot next or between Snead and Ward. So that's perfectly fine as well. And I think competition will help both those guys. Fenton has been a nice surprise to me. And actually, when you look at athletically what they bring to the table, Hughes is a little bit more change direction oriented, but doesn't have quite as much deep speed. I think he might be falling into a zone pattern in the league. That's certainly what happened in Minnesota. Although I thought he had better man press skills in college. Maybe the Chiefs staff can get him back to that. I would like to see that. I think that'd be more effective in the nickel. That said, I think those top four are pretty solid. And the competition beyond them is going to be important. Does that mean that they couldn't bring in a veteran? No. There's always room for that. And they're going to continue. And I think Brad Veach is very good at this, at continuing to build the depth until they're very, very comfortable. So that's what I'm on that one. And thank you for the super chat. I know there's a couple others. We'll get to you guys here in just a second. I want to make sure I'm not missing anybody that's asking questions outside of the super chats. I know I missed 3 people last week, so I apologize for that, and I want to make sure I get back to you. Sports social media editor, howdy in Central Florida. Shout out to Seattle, by the way. Tonight's beer is Fremont's rotating IPA called Ollie. Pretty tasty. It's got a nice color to it. It's not quite crystal clear like a West Coast, but it's not an opaque hazy either. So, and that again, if you're into beer, come over and check out RGR Craft. Me and my buddy Mike do a show all on craft beer and the industry and homebrewing. So, let's see. Ruthless asks, I got 2 questions. Would you re-sign Okafor? Would you let Cornell Powell be the wide receiver 2 if we don't get Julio? Would I re-sign Okafor for a vet min kind of thing? Yeah. I mean, between availability and inconsistent production, he did have moments when I thought he played really well, but it wasn't consistent. I would consider that. It would have to be very, very cheap. and he would be back in the rotation. The only problem is that you're forestalling reps for Taco Charlton and for Mike Dana and now for Josh Kando. So it might be counterproductive to your long-term goals in keeping money off the field. Like, you want your younger guys to contribute as soon as they possibly can. Dana contributed a ton along with Turk Wharton in his rookie season. And that's what they have to do. As the salaries on the high end of the stars gets bigger, you have to have more production per snap, like per snaps per season, that is, from your younger guys that are on rookie contracts that are very economical. That's the key. That said, I think Cornell Powell is competing for the wide receiver 2. It's not about letting it. He's got to go win it. He's got to go take it from Pringle and D-Rob. I would like to see Pringle win that job and have Demarcus Robinson battle it out with Cornell Powell. That's what I'd like to see for Powell's rookie season. There'll be room after that. Let's see. Kyle. Oh, and Thunder will be here in a bit. I just like to get through all the business stuff and, my little topic of the day before we get into answering questions twice. Who do you expect to have more snaps, Powell or Gray? Also, more TDs, Burton or Tebow? Good question, Kyle. I think at the end of the day, Noah Gray is going to out-snap Powell, at least in the first half of the season. I think maybe overall for the season as rookies. And then things will change, I think, in year 2. I don't think Tebow's going to make it as a tight end. I don't think he's going to play the position at 34 years old, out of the league for 8 years in the NFL. He's going to get walloped. So I'll say Burton. Who else? Cole, how are you? CDOT just put out a video debating whether with Arrowhead Pride on Julio Jones. Carrington doesn't think that we should trade for him. Your thoughts? I'm concerned about the draft capital aspect of it. Well, there went my light. So evidently we're going to get a little moody here until I get a chance, and Danilo answers something here in a bit, and I can fix that. I will say this. I don't find the concept of trading for Julio Jones to be demonstrative in a negative way. What we've seen is compensation is the floating idea is a second, a third, and flopping of sixths in 2022. Is that a little rich? Yes. I'd prefer to see only one top 100 pick for a guy who's 32 years old, knowing that Travis Kelce is over 30 as well. That's important. Julio only played 7 games last year. That's important as well. I was wrong last week. I thought he had multiple years where he played less than 14 games. That's not the case, evidently. Maybe I was just overreading into those games that I was looking forward to seeing him and he didn't participate in over the last 4 or 5 years. And it didn't end up being as much as my perception was. That said, I can't disagree with Carrington either in that that's a risk. Would I do it? I'd rather get up a third and a fourth and swap 6, but I will say this: the prospect of Julio Jones, if he's healthy, and I'm talking healthy, not Sammy Watkins healthy, where he plays 7 games like last season. If you get a 14, 15 game season out of Julio Jones and then get to go to the playoffs, you put him with Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, and this offense is unstoppable. I will tell you that now. I don't care if it's the Bucks. I don't care if it's everybody's favorite secondary in Dallas now. I don't care if it's the Broncos. You cannot stop those 3 players with 5 DBs. I just don't think you can do it. Whoever else is left, whether it's McCole Hardman or Noah Gray or Cornell Powell or Demarcus Robinson, they will take advantage of it, and that offense will not be stopped in the passing game if you put Julio on this roster. That said, it's a risk because can you get 15 games in the regular season out of him? Knowing that this is a 17-game season, that's my question. Long term, the question is money. And Chris and I are talking about this on Locked On Chiefs. That'll be up here in an hour or two for you guys. So make sure you check out that angle too, because Chris knows the cap a lot better than I do. And the cap is the big concern here. You could take a ride on a proven veteran and try to keep him healthy. That's less of a risk, honestly, than taking a first-round wide receiver. So I don't think that that's out of it. Is it a little bit rich? Yes, but that's what negotiations are for. At the end of the day, I don't know. Thank you, though, Cole. Steve, why is it difficult to switch from cornerback to safety? Can anyone on the roster make the switch? It's not difficult. It's different. It does take some time, but nobody goes from safety to corner because the skill sets are so dramatic and your field narrows. When you go to corner, your field is narrow. You have a guy, you have a zone. When you have a safety, you have to see the field. It is a different visual part of the game. And I think that transition is easier. It is very common for players as they grow older to transition from corner to safety. The Woodsons did it. Any number of players that I can think of. Eric Murray recently for the Chiefs did it. It isn't that difficult in terms of the switch. Going the reverse is. I could see Fenton playing safety. I could see him being somebody that could fit in between Thornhill and Sorensen and maybe even eventually take over for Sorensen as that possibility. That was it Mexico City that he had that nice pick. He was falling off from his nickel spot. He was hitting a deep too high, and that's when he read it, made the play, and that was what told you that play in particular that Rashad Fenton can play safety if they need him to. I could eventually see him becoming the Fuller of this defense, where he can play a little bit of both and just move around as they need to. Especially if Hughes comes around and they like him in the nickel, I could definitely see Rashad Fenton be part of the 3 safety set. I think that would be entertaining as well, not just effective, but I think it would be effective. Let's see. Daryl's in here. Daryl, I did get your contact information. Caddy, I think I got yours. Any of you members, we're going to do another Zoom is next week or the week after. I'm not sure which it is. I just need all the contact information. If you are all pro or elite in the memberships, make sure you can talk to me on email or DM. Let's see. Wes, you're funny. I was not born with it. I can even take it off sometimes. There just isn't much underneath it, bro. Yeah, I'm an old man with thinning hairline, so I don't show that very often. Stevie Keys, how are you, my friend? Thanks for the super chat, as always. We're trying to make the videos shorter, but somehow they are getting longer. Yeah, I understand completely. That's why we started these first takes. If you guys haven't caught on to any of the first takes yet, they are morning quick bites, quick opinions, updates, info, whatever we can do, because I have a tendency to talk way too much. And the film reviews we deep dive. I know there's a lot of people starting to do more film reviews on this platform, on other platforms all around, right? Well, we've been doing this for years. And to get the information to show you how defenses work or how a player works or what a play itself is, you have to get in there, and that makes the videos longer. So we're trying to do this thing in the morning. So if you guys want to check out the morning ones and you haven't seen them yet, they're usually really quick. They go up, 6 o'clock? No, it'll be 6:30 Central. Usually when they go up so that everybody can get them before work or whatever they need. So I know how you feel, Stevie. Eric, how are you? Thanks for the super chat. I'd rather get a veteran corner, especially if they can manage to teach Ward some ball skills. That's the problem, Eric. At this point in his development, I don't think you're going to magically teach Ward to attack the ball and actually be productive with it. You can teach him to get his head around better. He had the eye correction. Was it LASIK? I don't know I can't remember what the procedure was. But yeah, if it's not happening by now, I don't know that you can get much out of it. Stevie, or Steven, sorry. Who on the roster would you like to see make a position switch? A position switch. I mean, I'd like to see them run Dorian O'Daniel at strong safety. See if he can play in the box in Dan's role a little bit more. I think that might be the only way to get something out of Dorian O'Daniel on the defensive side. That's one. Ken, how are you? Wouldn't the Chiefs be better off extending Hill rather than spending big money on Julio Jones? I'll take both, thank you. Actually, one facilitates the other. They've been holding off on extending Tyreek Hill, right? Probably just because of the cap space. If they can do it and he'll agree to structure it the way a lot of the other guys have structured it, where they can get the lower numbers in year 1 and 2, that actually facilitates getting Julio on his current contract or hopefully a restructured one as well. And here's the thing. For Tyreek Hill, who we've heard a couple of weeks now about this, Hall of Fame conversation about deep threats. He doesn't have the resume. He's not anywhere close yet. He needs years and years of production to get there. One thing that will help him do it is having a wide receiver opposite him that will take coverage, that will demand coverage from not just the okay defenses, but from the good defenses. That's what Tyreek Hill needs if he wants to make a case for the Hall of Fame eventually. He and Travis are a great pair. You put Julio in there, and I feel very strongly about this. They are nearly unstoppable with those three guys. Then you just add on top the speed of McCole Hardman, the speed of Byron Pringle, D-Rob, Powell. Like, there's enough that I could see 5-6 receivers having 400, 500 yards in a season like that. Easily. Matt, if by chance we don't get Julio, there's a strong chance they won't. Any other free agent that you'd be looking in for this season? I don't think so. I don't think they would have let go of Tajay Sharp if they thought there was somebody out there that, you know, could really fill a role. I think they were still kind of looking at him. At this point, I doubt it. And quite frankly, it'd have to be really cheap. So I don't know. Oregon camp. Training camp will be here with young DBs this year, and I think it will show on the field. That said, would a vet be a nice glue to hold it all together? Yeah, because quite frankly, from what I understand, Travarius Ward is now the oldest guy in the room. Fenton's right behind him. Ward isn't a very vocal leader from my understanding. He is kind of a, hey, I'm going to go out and play my game and show you how to do it, but I'm not here to develop you. You know what I mean? And I do think that they need a veteran. I would have gotten that done yet. Maybe it's just that Bashad's contract demands right now, again, because he's in the situation where he has to make his money because his career is within sight of ending. Maybe that's just the situation, and maybe they're hoping that they can get him later. I don't know. But this is a position they've been pretty comfortable with Tyrann Mathieu on the field. And again, this is why Tyrann Mathieu's extension will get done. With him on the field, he multiplies the effectiveness of all the other players around him. For those familiar with the military, he is a force multiplier because he helps everyone else perform better. And while they have that, they feel that and they have a lot of trust in Juan Thornhill as well. Not as much as Mathieu, obviously, but they do have that in order to keep things over the top and kind of help all the corners out that they don't want to spend at the position. That position does get very pricey. And if you can get by like they have, it definitely helps in terms of the overall cash spend. Brother Rick, welcome back. How are you? Julio is simply Watkins 2.0. Injury prone and expensive. Plus, he'll take reps up from up-and-coming talent on the roster. I will tell you this. Julio Jones has been, for multiple seasons, the best wide receiver in the game. So I don't – while I understand the comparison you're drawing in terms of the injury possibilities, I was wrong last week. He's been playing 14 or more games like 5 of the last 6 seasons. I thought it was less than that. I thought it was about 50%, and I was concerned about that. But when he is on the field, he's a top 3 receiver. He – Tyreek and Nuke in Arizona now was with the Texans. They're the top 3. Devontae, nothing against him, but he's 4 because Julio can do whatever he wants when he's healthy. And that has never been said of Sammy Watkins. Sammy's been very good, but he has never been up to Julio Jones' standard. Thank you for the super chat, Rick. Appreciate it. Do we have trust in Ward going forward? I do not. You guys know how I feel about him. I think he hit his ceiling as a number 2 corner. And anything beyond that is hoping. And quite honestly, leaving a little bit to be desired. Gooch made it in. How are you, Gooch? Remember, for those of you who haven't seen it yet, just join the memberships, even at the lower level. I'm gonna make the Gooch and Keys show, Rogue Head Huddle, available for any member, any level, at least for the next few weeks. Normally, you have to be at the second level, the rookie level, to see the extra videos, but we want all you guys to enjoy that because it's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it. And, these days I don't get to watch or even listen to as much podcasting as I used to. So, hey, Gooch, glad you made it. Jim James, do you think that we need a power back for short yardage goal line situation? Running back doesn't have to wait for the hole to open. He can just create one. I don't think so, no, because I don't think that happens enough anymore. Even Darryl, who's good size, I think if anything, it'll come down to Mike Burton doing that. I don't think it's going to work, though, because in years past, we'll have to see how they all come together. Tomorrow starts OTA practices, and we have to see what the offensive line looks like. But in years past, they've just gotten so little movement that you didn't have enough of a gap to even blast through and try to make your own hole. So I just don't see Andy going that direction. I might be tempted to give it a shot, but I don't think Andy will be. Nathan, how are you? How comfortable with you as Niang as the backup? Left tackle. Somewhat. I mean, in case of emergency, Cam Irving, okay. But no, Niang's a right tackle. He always has been. He always will be. The left thing is just to prove that he could do it in case. Oh, and Danilo's in here, so let me get him added to the stream. What's up, buddy? Oh, we got you muted, I think, dude. I can't hear you. Niang will be what Niang is. I think eventually he'll take the starting job at right, so I'm not too worried about it. And, you know, that's okay. You get drafted to play a position, you play the position. Now, your problem. There we go.
There we go.
Now we can hear you and everything. So
many microphones hooked up to your computer. That's what happens.
Right? Yeah, it is. Dang. Here, let me hit you with this one since you're here. Joseph, over under 50 catches for CH. I think Reed will get him more involved in the passing screen. I'm going to fix my light. Take it away.
I'm going to say low 40s, max, under. Just because it's been so limited, I think he should be much more involved in the pass game. But we'll see. I mean, and that's going to affect things like if a Julio comes over, guys like that. The CEH value at receiving running back definitely prolongs Julio's usage, because even though Gurley was a pretty versatile catching the pass to the backfield running back in LA, he wasn't used that much in Atlanta for that use. He was getting a little on, and they weren't taking as many chances with him. There's an animal behind me on the couch. No, I think 40-ish. I think he's going to get like low 40s at the most.
I hope so. I'm looking forward to that. Thank you, Joe. Dylan Kruckman asks, who is the prime trade candidate this year? My opinion right now is Wiley. There's one star that I could see a possibility, but I'm not buying it yet. What do you think?
Wiley along the line for sure. Frank Clark, DeMarcus Robinson. There's a few guys. I mean, Veach is a gunslinger now. I don't put anything. Patrick's not going anywhere. Other than that, keep your head down, Chiefs. Work hard and keep your head. Just do your job and trust in the process.
Yeah, you know? That's really all you can do.
Yeah.
Eric, good point. When are we going to have the Gooch and Stevie show in Vegas? I will come to that. I guarantee you. Ian, thank you for your super chat. If we trade for Julio, more likely to just be picks, i.e. the Brown trade, or do we see a player plus picks? Maybe for some of the 500 wide receivers? Yes, possibly. I just don't know. From what I've heard, the Falcons are interested in picks. Is it a sweetener to throw in a player that you think might develop, or could at least play some snaps for you at the position that you're trading Julio away from? I don't know. What do you think?
I think that'd be our opportunity. I don't know if they'd take him. That'd be our opportunity to send DeMarcus and chip that down, because I don't want to see. I've heard second and a third. I'm not down for that. If they want, I'd rather it be a third max. But if they say a second and DeMarcus and swap sixth, I could see that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
See that, and they get a Super Bowl champion wide receiver. He's got something that nobody else has in that room.
And that ring brings a lot of gravitas with it that can help you become maybe a step up of the player that you are. Right now, you're a role player in Kansas City. That's not going to change with Tyreek Hill in the room. No. Maybe you can take on a leadership role if you're the guy with the ring.
Yeah, for sure.
Never know. Brent, thank you for the question. Are you going to do a video about the cap situation? We might have to predict who can keep or let go or even afford Julio. I don't usually do cap-specific videos only because it changes all the time. And right now, I expect to see more changes, whether it's this trade, they're going to churn through OTAs. I'll probably do one just looking overall post OTAs after minicamp's over, because they're going to make a couple of transactions there as they jostle the bottom of the roster. Maybe that's when this happens. Who knows? And then so we'll know going into camp. That's when I'll hit the cap, because it might be stabilized for 5 weeks. So, I can actually do it ahead of time. Every time I do that, it blows up and it changes like the day I'm going to put it out. So
you'll do the whole thing, and Veach will hear about it subconsciously, and he'll not even knowing, he'll trade Frank Clark, and all of a sudden we have $19 million we didn't have when you were assessing who we'd be able to get and who we wouldn't be able to get. All of a sudden it's wide open.
I'm not saying that Brett Veach watches this show. the
It
correspondence.
feels like it sometimes, right?
It does feel like it, because the last time I said, in fact, if you guys don't remember, if you haven't been on the train for the last couple of years, the last time I said, hey, they're done, it was 177. I'm like, they ain't going to do anything else. And Breach was like, whoa. I am not done. I will do what I like. And this cap is a fallacy. Doesn't exist.
Ryan, you're not Brett Veach. I'm Brett Veach.
Right.
He's always reminding us, yeah.
Remember?
Hey, we have a new addition in Chiefs Kingdom. I just wanted to let you know.
Yeah.
I got my tooth fixed, finally.
Oh, nice.
There's been a big old gouge of this. That I want to take that dentist with me everywhere. He was so good and so quick and so painless. I was
You're
like,
my
yes,
guy.
my teeth back.
Dude, that's awesome. I never even noticed that.
Yeah. Oh, I noticed.
Well, when you
It's
live
like a
with it, you
fly
will,
on my
right?
mouth. Yeah. It was
Sorry.
nasty,
Well, good for you.
Yeah. I'm
Looks
excited.
good.
They're
Should
real
we,
again.
Should we look for a speed running back? Are the guys on the roster that don't look too fast? I mean, nobody's going to beat Jamal Charles.
No. We had our shot at a speed running back last draft.
Right?
Jonathan Taylor was right there running his 4.4, and we just didn't go for it because that's not what Andy wanted. Andy wanted his guy, his size, his Westbrook 2.0 or whatever, and that's what it is. I don't think there's anybody worth grabbing right now.
Yeah, I can't think of anyone either. And quite frankly, I think all these guys have enough top end speed. If they can get the blocking, they can do what they need to do. I'm not worried about hitting home runs with it. That's what Tyreek and McCole are for. I don't know. I don't know that I'd go
scoot a little bit. If he can stay healthy, McKinnon can scoot a little bit. We'll see what happens. We have wide receivers that do those fancy schnancy speed back zoom plays. That's just we need Clyde to pound it up in there.
Yeah, I agree. JC, I've looked. So far, all I found is, quite frankly, crappy broadcast footage that I can't use. So the only thing that I can really use is all 22. So the hunt is still on. I will let you know if I find some. Longmorn, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Is it wrong for me to fantasize about seeing Chris Jones as an end on first downs against the Browns and Ravens? Not at all. Particularly against the Ravens, because if Lamar's wide receiver core doesn't take a step forward, he's going to pull it down and run. And I would love to see Chris meet him at the corner. That'd be kind of fun, right?
Ooh, buddy. Jerron Reed and Derek Nottie in the middle, and Chris Jones and Frank Clark flying off the ends.
Right?
Go ahead and run, Lamar. Go ahead and run.
I mean, and think about what Chris does well. Chris has a great rip, but Chris's bull rush is crazy good. He works down the body with his hands and gets leverage nearly any time that he wants. There are very few guards that have been able to slow him down. If he's doing that to your right tackle and all of a sudden he's in your lap, I got nothing. But that said, there are also those guys like Brady who will get out really fast, and you need a speed rusher out there. That isn't Chris. So can Taco get there? I thought Taco had a really good season when he was in on snaps. Can he get consistent? That's the question. And maybe the same thing for Kendo. I mean, I know you loved Kendo a ton. Like, I like the concept of him. Let's see how he transitions here in the early going training camp. And maybe you can sprinkle him in, but Chris at end is interesting, huh?
He is. And then there's always that if he splits out and the tackle's excited to go out there and get him and leaves like a little too big of a gap, Mr. Bolton and Mr. Gay are going to be flying around back there looking for windows. Maybe Snead pops through a hole. It could get really interesting on some stunts and some late comers, late blitzes.
Yeah, could definitely be that. Sensana, how are you? Just out of curiosity, who do you think will be surprisingly good and surprisingly bad team? I got to tell you, I think the Broncos might take a step forward, like maybe a big step. Obviously, if you land Aaron Rodgers, that's going to be huge. But even without that, I do feel like what they did on their defensive side, I think that's Fangio's inner circle. I think that will work. And I think Teddy Bridgewater's kind of pissed off. He might play like he did in New Orleans again.
Or like he did against us with the Panthers. He was pretty unstoppable that day.
He was crafty.
It was pretty rough. Right? Yeah. Who do you think who's a surprisingly bad team for you, Ryan? I think everybody in chat knows who my could surprise you and be a lot worse than we think they're going to be team is. I got a lot of love and a lot of heat for that one. What do you think, Ryan? Who's your surprise?
I'm trying not to stay in the division. Otherwise, I would go with Stevie's Raiders. But
Sure.
yeah, I called him yours, Stevie.
Burn.
I'm concerned about the Eagles.
Yeah.
I am a big Jalen Hurts guy. I like him. I'm just concerned with a first-year head coach and an organization that decided to part ways from not only their franchise quarterback, but their head coach in the same season. Nick Sirianni is a good coach. Can he jump in there and literally take the entire ship and transplant it and get it going the right direction? I'm not sold yet.
His press conference wasn't like Adam Gase, but have you ever seen Rick and Morty? He's a coach that he commands a room the way Morty commands a room, the way he talks. I mean, now behind closed doors, probably a totally different guy. But when the cameras are on him, he's one of those people that is a shrinking violet in front of the camera. I don't know, maybe he's gotten better. I haven't seen him recently, but it was tough to watch. It was like, yeah, fellas, we're gonna do things and stuff has to, we have to. That does not embolden men to do great things. Generally.
We're gonna do things and stuff and bring the business. That's what we're doing.
We're gonna do things and stuff.
Aaron, thank you for getting me this. Seth George, sorry I missed you. If you get Julio, does it take a bit away from the luster of competing? No. Because Julio's one of the one guys that can walk in the room, and Tyreek Hill is no longer the best player in that room. And
it's the gauntlet being dropped by Veach.
Right.
It's like, okay, who's the best? Show me.
Because honestly, I can't think other than him and Nuke. Maybe Devontae. I have Devontae as number 4 in the league, but maybe Devontae too, just because they're close. Those are the only guys that I think can come in and push Tyreek Hill to be better. Tyreek Hill is very good at pushing himself. But there's a difference between being in the room with another guy that is like the elite.
I mean, I'm the first guy who will say Julio's not, quote unquote, necessarily better as much as he's different than Tyreek. But numbers, you got to take into account team and how the usage just goes around and stuff. But if you just look at numbers on paper, Julio's pretty damn kick-ass. He's pretty unprecedented across the league, except for last year. But yeah, I too, I listened to you earlier when I was making dinner for my daughter. And you were saying about how you thought it was more times he was in. I looked at his last 4 or 5 years. I was like, damn, his numbers are sick.
Yeah, I was wrong. My perception was that he had missed a lot more games than he actually had. That said, he was banged up, and there were a lot of games that he participated in that he didn't produce in.
Right.
But he was still out there. Julio plays hurt, you guys. He plays hurt.
What a decoy.
Yeah, right?
What a decoy.
Here's your choice. You could double Tyreek, and then Travis and Julio have singles. Good luck.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous. Oh, I would love to be in that room. I'm just going to say that.
Single coverage and 80% Julio is going to throttle 95% of DBs in the league, either with size or with just length or just. You don't want to get in that situation as a DB.
It's lightsaber time.
Okay. Stats.
I have to have color in the background. It just makes me nervous when my lights cut out. So sorry, guys. Can I
run it real quick, Ryan?
I'm going to take over because it's still going to be bad. He's still going to run. He's going to be up.
I can't. You're breaking up. I can't hear you.
What do you got?
Oh, I just wanted to run. Well, I just wanted to run really quickly. 2014 to 2019. Almost 1,600 yards, almost 1,900 yards, 1,400 yards, 14 and a half, 16, almost 1,700 yards, almost 1,400 yards. The dude thumps like crazy, puts the yardage up. And even though his touchdowns have only been double digits one time, the rest of the team will take care of it. If we get 5 guys that have 8 touchdowns, we're winning a lot of football games.
Yeah.
A lot of football games.
I mean, we used to say last season, right? It's a race to 30, right?
Yeah.
With Julio, it's a race to 30 in the first half. I'm not even kidding. You guys know, I think defense first. I can't come up with a concept, even in dime coverage, 3 deep, over the top. You can't stop all 3 of them and still cover McCole Hardman down the middle or Clyde out of the back. It's just not possible. There's not enough bodies.
With that line, if you're downfield covering all the wideouts, Clyde's going to be 12 yards before he meets anybody.
Yeah.
He's going to be just running an open space. Hey, what's up, fellas? Remember me? So I'm pretty excited about that.
Who do you like more for corner 4, Hughes or Baker? Santana, the only problem is corner 4 in my system has to be a nickel. Baker's not a nickel. So it's really cut and dry for me. Do you have
who do you like more for corner 2? Baker or Ward if they're
Baker.
healthy.
If healthy, I like Baker.
Exactly. So he doesn't slide to 4. He's at number 2.
Yeah. I mean,
So.
if everything works out the way that you hope, Ward should be a backup.
Right.
I mean, in terms of performance, now I will say this: cornerback is one of the most volatile positions on the field in terms of year-to-year performance. But judged on 1 year, his only year playing, L'Jarius Sneed is the best corner on this roster. Period.
Yeah,
it's not really that close. So, can he keep it up? Maybe. Oh, thank you for doing this, Aaron. Yes, please. Especially if you're new, folks. Got to do this because I'm terrible. There's so many comments. I can't keep up. I got to see the question marks at the beginning or else they get scrolled off and I don't see them at all. And if I don't see question marks, I can't really answer anything. So that's what I'm talking about. Daniel Schuler, I just lost yours because I scrolled. Sorry. Deshaun and Aaron Rodgers not being at OTAs is not a surprise to anyone. It is part of the situation for both of them. Until we know something, we'll just have to be happy not knowing something because I don't think we will know until something happens. So, who are the notable names that aren't attending OTAs? Love the content. Favorite part of my Monday. Well, thank you, Jackson. Appreciate that. So far, I know of 0 Chiefs that are voluntarily not attending. We will find out the roster tomorrow. I am very interested to see, can Willie get on the field? Can Baker get on the field? Are they healthy enough to run and participate in walkthroughs? That's enough for me for both those guys because of where their injuries were, right? Bigger question for me is LDT back? What does he weigh? Can he still anchor? Like, I need to see him and Kyle Long next to each other. Kyle Long, we've already seen it at the early voluntary workout, so we know he's going to be there. Anybody else you're looking forward to?
LDT. I mean, Hong Forrest, my co-host on Wednesday nights, said she's seen some video and LDT looks like he's beasting up in Canada. He's had like this weight rack on his back porch in the frozen tundra of Quebec, and it's just like a monster gym. And apparently he's been just throwing steel around like an angry gorilla. So I'm looking forward to seeing him come down with a year of rest and recuperation and a little extra soul hardening of, you know what? He's been witnessing how fragile life is and how important things that matter to you are. And he said like by about 3 or 4 or 5 weeks into the season, he was already like, oh my gosh, I'm missing this so much. I can't leave this. This is what I need to be doing. But he realized how, like, he already knew football was important to him, but he didn't realize how important it was. So that's a man with drive is hard to stop. So.
Yeah, that motivation's incredible. I will tell you this too. For all of you that are either football coaches or parents of high school football players, look at what LDT does. He's doing the minimalistic thing in a home gym outside. I like that. If you're going to put your kid in trying to gain strength in an off season, front squat. Front squat engages twice the musculature and allows you to stabilize your core, which is what anchor is all about on the offensive line. Don't put it on your back behind your shoulders. Front squat that thing. That's what LDT has been doing, and that's what's most impressed me about him. He's going about it in a scientific way to get the most bang out of his buck for what he's doing in the off season. So, little tip there.
Imagine that, a doctor being scientific.
Right. What an idea, right?
Crazy.
Holly, thank you for the super chat. As we know right now, they are going to have fans at training camp. We don't know in what capacity. We don't know if there's going to be, a daily limit. I would tell you all, if you are folks that like to hang out on the hill, you can find me usually posted up there at the corner of the hill because I can see both fields that way. We may not be able to be there. There is talk about having to keep distance, not only from the field, but from other officials, whether it be the official reporters, the beat reporters who will be in the tent and all that kind of stuff. So we know there'll be fans. We don't know how many, and we don't know where they'll be. The stands may be set farther back. When we know, I will definitely let you know. The Chiefs PR will let us know at least a couple of weeks before camp opens. So I will pass that along.
I have an idea for that for all the fans. If they would all chip in and help get like a signal cracking device, maybe we can like tap into Bill Belichick's drone that he's going to have watching the Chiefs practice, and we can watch the footage on a short circuit camera, like a closed circuit video.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. He'll give you the stretch and they'll be like, turn the drone off. Ryan is edge rusher and the backup quarterback priority in 22. The edge rusher is Gary. Backup quarterback is never going to be a priority as long as Mahomes is here. It's going to be about giving someone that can help him, a veteran that can steer him, and then they'll take like a UDFA type quarterback that they feel they can develop. It's not a priority. Like, you're not going to see a top 100 quarterback picked here until Patrick Mahomes leaves town at 48. So
48.
You never know, right? Come on.
Right. Brady said he's pushing the bar up.
Right.
Just keeps going. You know.
Avery, how are you, dude? Who would be better for the team to be an impact player this season, Gay or Bolton? I will tell you this. I think Nick Bolton needs to learn from Anthony Hitchens. He's very, very good at what he does, but that leap to the NFL level and calling the defense means that you're controlling the defense, and that can get you in some trouble. I would love to see Willie Gay break out and be the guy that, like Derek Johnson after his suspension, the only good thing that Todd Haley ever did, it keyed him and it made him into the player he became down the line. I think that could happen for Willie Gay now. And if he becomes an impact player like that, then it's Bolton and Gay multiplying each other in 2022. And that's the goal for me. Danilo, how do you like those guys?
I think for it to happen with Bolton would mean it's happening faster than I expected, but I do expect it. For it to happen with Gay this season, I'd be thrilled because I don't expect it to happen for the first couple of years. I think the learning curve is bigger for him. I just don't think he's not this the syllabic guy with the dictionary in his head of how to run a defense and how to control everything. He's not that guy. He's the hyper athlete, the go sick, see ball, get ball guy. And I think Bolton is the chess player. So I think that's inevitable with Bolton. If it happened with Gay this year, I'm like, we're way ahead of things then. Yeah. Then it's like, look out by next year. Ooh, what a duo.
Well, and in the end, I think Nick is going to set Willie up.
Yeah.
You know, like I can see them being the 1-2 punch because Nick can't fly like Willie can. Mm-hmm. And Willie doesn't read like Nick can. I mean, it is a nice duo. It's going to be Batman and Robin, in my opinion, but they got to get there too. So,
yeah.
Avery, glad you made it. Steve, thank you very much. We are very excited as well. This is a great one. I'm guessing I know where you're going, but you start. What's your favorite era in the NFL? 80s, 90s, or 2000s, and why?
I'm going to say 2000s because I was well into football by then. I was playing football semi-pro level, and I had a couple rings, and the Chiefs were playing well, and our offensive line was monstrous. And I still had hope that we would somehow extricate Barry Sanders from the Detroit Lions and unleash him on the world to what he should have been, which was the first 3,000-yard NFL running back. But that never happened. So, yeah, 80s were rough and 90s were rough. So there was a window, a Montana window, but I mean, other than that,
right. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you this. I'll take the 80s.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, because it came down to physical want a lot more than it does now. And for me, that's what it was about. I like quarterbacks with one bar on their helmet. You know what I mean?
Right.
I like those days. Yeah, you're not
Leroy Horde in the house, folks.
Fran Tarkenton, Jim McMahon, dudes that like got knocked all the way out and came back in the game.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's not healthy, and I wouldn't want to see it anymore now that we know about CTE. But dang, that was a lot of good football to watch.
It's a different time.
It was. And for me, and you said it right though, because that's when it was more of a childhood thing for me. You know, that's when I grew up in the game.
Sure.
How long does it take an O-line to gel? 3 seasons? I don't know. You want to be elite.
It depends on the experience level.
Yeah.
How long did it take Willie Rofe to blend in with our offensive line when he moved here? Half a season? A year, maybe?
But that's because he was already
great.
To him. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, the Brown-Tooney thing, that's going to be right now.
That's huge. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The other side, I got nothing.
I mean, Long played at a great level when he was healthy. And if LDT's healthy and back, LDT's a championship right guard, man. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if our weak spots are a stellar center rookie or a solid center from a team that was in the Super Bowl not that long ago, I'm good. And then a right tackle, who's it going to be?
Yeah.
I really don't know yet.
Me too. Cole, you saw a video on YouTube a couple days back called Michael Pittman of the Chiefs. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Oh yeah, it hasn't. Okay, yeah, exactly. And that's the reason. Like for those of you who haven't seen him yet, I'll probably get back into doing them this week or next because of all the stuff that's out there. Rumors are rumors because somebody made
Ridiculous.
it up. It's not
They're clickbait.
true. Yeah,
They're clickbait.
And that's why when you see our rumors videos, and Danielle, maybe you should do some of these too. For me, it's always smashing the rumors because they're always wrong.
Yeah.
If they're even close, then I will tell you, hey, there's a grain of possibility here. But mostly it is exactly what you say here, Cole. It's fans wanting something and get it in. You got to bear with me. I'm not trying to talk down to everybody else on YouTube. Most channels on YouTube that are football related are fans. This one is not. Brett Coleman is not. Sam Gold is not. And that's why we're trying to stand out, because we're not trying to feed you what we want. We're trying to give you honest takes on the real game.
Yeah.
That's not going to change. So, Bruce, thank you for your super chat. As always, very generous. If this team would be ridiculous, Julio, why wouldn't you give up a first-round pick and go win some Super Bowls? Longevity is one of the reasons, because first-round pick should last you at a minimum of 5 seasons, right?
Yeah.
Julio's 32 now. I don't know. Did we just see him fall off the cliff? Was this 7-game season last year, or was it 9 games he played? Was that beginning of the end?
Yeah.
You don't want to give a first-round pick for that. Yeah, and that's why they're not talking that. But even giving up a second is a significant input for a 30-year-old receiver. That's a lot. So, hey.
If it's a second or a third and we get 2 amazing seasons out of them, okay, I can. And Powell gets to develop behind him and those guys get to develop. Great. Yep. Second and a third, that's a little steep for me. I'm not.
Yeah, I would prefer to see one top 100 pick, but if that's the price to make this offense that unstoppable, where the only thing that can happen to stop them is Patrick having to sit out games.
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
And again, if we win 2 championships, again, second and third, okay, championship each. All right.
Sold, yeah. You got to
ring back for to firsts again. Okay, let's go.
Thanks, Bruce. Great question. Casey Masterpiece, how are you? Of the receivers outside of Hill, who makes the biggest step in this offense? Great question. I got my money on Pringle, and that's my hope. I just don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know if he's going to get the opportunity he should. What do you think to do, though?
I'm going to stop saying Pringle because the last couple of years I've been disappointed because I'm like, when's he going to get – you can't do it if you don't get a chance. And I don't feel like he's gotten enough opportunity. And I don't know what's holding them back. I think something about the halo around Clemson in the last couple of years, I think they're really, really high on Powell. I think he's going to pop by week 6. He's going to start doing things, and people are going to be like, wow, that's why they took this kid.
I hope so.
But if it's a holdover guy, McCole Hardman, this is it, baby. Show me what you got.
It's your last chance, McCole.
Yeah. Show me the real deal, McCole. The best. Show me that 4.22 that you said you recorded in that sprint.
Listen, my family are the closest thing to boosters at Georgia. So I'm on your side. But McCole, if you watch this, get it in gear already. Come on.
Go, buddy. Put it all together.
All right. Sorry, I had to get that out, McCole.
No more mental mistakes.
Stevie's happy that LDT's fired up. I hope that he's fired up. I think we'll see tomorrow. My guess is if he's back in shape and we're going to see him either at the presser or he's going to do something that he's going to have some visibility. That's my guess. I know that Andy Reid supports him personally and loves what he does. So I think they'll use any excuse to get him out in front.
He's in the Hall of Fame,
right?
His smock and his mask are in the Hall of Fame.
That's crazy. Cool. Yeah. I mean, you don't see guards that often. There's a good waiting
still playing
for good guards, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Scott, if they were to throw a current roster player in the Julio trade,
we already covered this one.
Yeah, who would it be? That's just the question. Is it might be one of the other receivers just to have another body there that you feel is competent. I just don't think they're going to need it. So, Leon, his cap hit is 4.75. I think it's actually 2.75, and that other 2 is a roster bonus. I wanted to say that they could get out of if they trade him. He has no clause. He can't get rid of him, right? Sure, he can waive that clause at any time. If they're like, hey, we can try to trade you or we can release you because we got to go a different direction, which is exactly what they would say to him. He would say, yeah, go ahead and find a trade for me because it maintains his current level of compensation. He doesn't have to renegotiate. So a player can waive a no trade clause at any time. That's built into the contracts.
You're right about the analysis there, Ryan, on the numbers.
Yeah.
I just double checked on OTC. And if it was a post June 2nd, then the 6.75 dead cap money turns into 2.75. So we save $4 million.
Yeah. And that is significant by all means. Casey Masterpiece, I saw Niang's workout video. Dude looks smooth. He won't be surprised if he makes an opening start. I agree. I think physically he's more capable than Remmers in terms of handling pass rush. It's whether he's able to get into the offensive set. And quite frankly, I think he's a guy that the opt-out year may have actually helped very much, in my opinion.
You know what I like too is I'm in the midst of, so you guys know I'm in the midst of training to work with a company called Area Scouts. And part of their thing is they do a base assessment. It's called BASE. Anyway, what it looks at is making sure athletes function properly and move properly. And Ryan probably looks at this stuff with his metrics and everything too. Apparently, part of Niang's hip thing was because he'd been moving improperly for so long, it finally caught up with him. And the first thing his rehab guys did was correct his move. They're like, we're not even going to start your rehab until you start moving properly. So we're going to re-educate you on how to move your body, and then we're going to rehab from there and strengthen you up from there. And his teammates that played with him back in Texas Christian, apparently, they were working with him. They're like, dude, you don't even move. You move different now. You're way smoother and way more athletic now than you were want to athletic before. But now he's got a smoothness to him, much as our question person was saying. Mm-hmm. And if that's true, dude, look out, because then it's also going to be durability thing. He's going to have more durability down the stretch.
You guys, when you're watching games, especially at tackle, watch their outside knee. When they take that staggered step that is kind of letting them open up their hips a little bit early so they can catch a speed rusher, if that knee's buckled in, that means some of their hip adductors are weak. You can tell by the way the guy trains, by the way he lines up. That is something that was a problem for Niang. So I'm really excited to see him now, especially after he gets in like some work, gets wore down a little bit, because that's when old habits come back when you're tired.
Yep.
I want to see how he moves. We'll get footage sporadically from some of the TV stations. So we'll let you know what we see, you guys. Seth George, thank you for your super chat. If you could put any player on the Chiefs history on this roster, who would it be and why? It would be Derek Thomas, and I would go away and just smile. And Danilo agrees.
Yes. Yes. No further comment. Yes.
Leon, thank you for your super chat. Do you think Zane Anderson will replace Dan Sorensen? No. Dan Sorensen is a nuclear fallout cockroach. He is not going anywhere until he decides to go somewhere. Every time I thought Dan was going to get beat out for a roster spot or for a position, Dan wins. I will not bet against him no matter what.
Is that question eventually, or are we talking about this season? Because if we're this season, then cockroach wins. If we're talking about a season or two down the road, maybe even next year. I don't know. It depends on when Dan wants to walk away too, because Andy Reid looks at him. The reason he's my spirit animal is one of the nicest compliments I ever got from the first team I ever tried out for at 22 years old. You're the kind of guy I never cut. You don't know what quit means. You'll never stop coming. You're like Jason Voorhees on that play. Right. Dan Sorensen's that guy. So Dan Sorensen's not getting cut until he's ready to walk away.
Yeah. That's my thought is too. And we don't know anything about Zane. I mean, we know what he did in college. Yeah. Again, any step up to the NFL level, especially if you're not a guy that is, a top 100 pick because you can project it that much easier. It's always a question mark. Let's see. He could be a guy that excels and maybe he does get in that competition. He could be a guy that just isn't prepared and physically gets overmatched at the NFL level. We have to see.
It's not a cartoon. These aren't sneakers. Even sneakers, they can look the same size, both white guys. That doesn't mean anything.
Right.
It's like, it doesn't 6'2", 206, 210. Same. It doesn't mean they're the same guy. We'll see. Maybe Zane's the next guy. We'll see.
The next guy. The next BYU guy. That's
right. Yeah.
Guys, quick question. With the Chiefs having a new LB coach, has DJ been approached as he's out of football for 3 years? I don't think he's been approached. Andy has told him that when DJ wants to coach, he's got a spot. They run an intern program where any player can come back to the team that they played for, if acceptable, and do an internship. And that usually is for a training camp, and then they get hired somewhere. And they like to spread it around so you work for different coaches. From what I understand, DJ has not gotten to that point. That's what he said last year, and I haven't seen anything since then. But they don't have a new linebacker coach.
No, it's running back coach. Greg Lewis took over the running backs.
Right. They switched around. Matt House is still the linebacker coach. Fajole came in. He is the assistant or outside linebacker coach, even though he's got more experience than Matt House. It's still that way, but Matt House runs the linebackers. It is Lewis to running back, so he can coach something other than the position he played. Jay Blameyer to wide receivers, so he can coach something that he didn't play. This is how you diversify and build your staff and make your staff better, by having them coach positions they didn't play. Everybody generally starts at the position they play when they become a coach out of the NFL. That's fine. But this is how you get EB, who can talk to Patrick Mahomes and decide to run WASP and win you a Super Bowl when he's the guy who ran the ball for a living back in the days that I liked. So that's how you get there. Let's see, Aaron, what am I doing here? Oh, yeah. You guys, Matrix RGR is still up there. Go to rogueapc.com, just like Aaron has it here. You can get the draft guide. You can get the Matrix. You can get back, you can get all the guides back to like 16 or 17. I can't remember how many I have up there. It works for any purchase. So Matrix RGR. Let's see who's got other questions. Pono's in the house. How are you, bud? Play Chris at the edge opposite Frank. Reed, Noddy, Wharton, plug the middle. Problem solved. Yeah. I mean, hey, you know what I'd love to see? I mean, this is just me being stupid, but I'd love to see a linebacker-less set that has all 5 of those guys on the field and run a 46 front, cover up the guard center guard, and then have the 2 edges and run 6 DBs behind it. That's what I'd love to see. Because, hey, at the end of the day, you're not going to get gashed against the run any worse than you have been the last 5 years. Right. You just might make some big, big plays.
Receivers aren't going to have very much room to go run their routes either.
Right. Bunch
of hive of bees back there.
It would be fun. I'm a big fan of the 46 front. It does fun things, and it maintains that you get singled up on all your pass rushers.
Yeah.
That's always a good thing. Chris Kesey, thanks for your super chat, bud. Schwartz is looking better. Does he come back to KC? He said he's open to it. And while I see him doing the balance board and doing some front squats and stuff, he's a long, long way, you guys. And backs are fragile. So
yeah, they're no joke.
I will tell you this. If he does come back and he feels he can make a return to the field, I'll bet you it'll be with Kansas City. And I'll bet you he'll do it cheap.
Yep.
Casey Masterpiece, give your honest answer. Does LDT make the team given his salary? Yes. What do you think?
Absolutely. Okay. I mean, his salary is not even that much. He would make more probably playing something. If he comes back and he's in shape, he would be worth a decent draft pick and make more money with his new team if he resigned. Yeah. I don't think he's going anywhere. I think he wants to be a chief. He said he wants to be a doctor for 40 years. So he's probably only going to play 2 or 3 more years of football and then call it. But he wants to play really good football and then call it a day and know he did what he could.
I'm with you. So, in fact, you guys, I'm going to tell you this. I said it a couple of weeks ago, and I'm still on that train. If it all works out and you want to play your best 5, it's LDT at right guard, and it's Kyle Long at right tackle.
Yep.
That's your best 5.
Awesome. Oh,
yeah. All day long. All day long. And maybe we could run the ball a little bit more. It might be fun.
We should.
Nathan, any chance of seeing Ryan, Seth, Dan, and Danilo roundtable happening? I'm sure at some point we will. Right now, and this is the reason it took 2 years for Seth and I to get back together on a show. It's just, he's got 17 kids.
Yeah.
We both have big family obligations, and we just haven't been able to do it timing wise. Right now, the Thursday live show is live because it's the only time that he has in his week to do something. So at some point, we might just take over his show, Danilo, and we'll just all jump in there.
Yeah.
Definitely, he's down to expand at some point, you guys. We just don't know when that's going to be. But yeah, we'll have to put a draft show together. We'll see how many faces we can get on one screen. You never know. Jeff Porter, Aaron Morrow, I'm including you in that. In fact, if you guys want to see something fun, join the memberships, because when we do the Zooms, there's like 10 people on screen. We can all see everybody. So it's just kind of playing traffic cop. That's the hard part. Yep, very good. I appreciate that, Aaron. Always keeping me on my toes and make sure that I'm promoting enough. I know I don't promote enough as a principal, so I'll try to do that better. Patrick, thank you. Thoughts on Todd Gurley on our team for cheap? I have no interest whatsoever. Do you?
Next question. We're on to Cincinnati.
We're on.
We're on to Cincinnati.
There's nothing wrong with Todd Gurley.
We're on to Cleveland. We're on to Cleveland.
Okay. There's nothing wrong with Todd. He just takes snaps away from Clyde. That's all.
Yeah, there's no
reason. Fullback question. Okay. Tony Richards or Kimball Anders? Tony in a heartbeat. That's not really close. In fact, load the backfield with them and Christian, and it's all over. I'll put that down in history. I'll run 11 Christian Okoye's in Madden and have fun with it.
Yeah. There's roughly 800 pounds of running back in the backfield right now. And they can all catch the football. We don't know what's going on.
It's been a while. Good to see you. Does Mike Dana have the potential to become a Pro Bowl caliber player? That is a very good question that I don't have the answer to. Only Mike Dana knows that.
I have the answer.
Do you?
Every player in the NFL has the potential to be a Pro Bowl player. Do they believe they have that potential? The man who thinks he can and the man who thinks he can't are both right. I will stick by that. Just like a 22-year-old guy leaving the military, people going, "You want to play football? You're crazy." 10 years of semi-pro career later and walked on at Syracuse. Yes, because I looked in the mirror and said, that guy can do it. You got all your fingers and toes. You got your semi-athletic body. Can you work hard? You can do a lot more than people assume. So,
and I'll tell you this, Mike Dana is already a good base end. He's solid. He can play the game. He didn't get run over. He didn't give up the edge all day long. He was solid. No, exactly. He's not Von Miller. He's not coming around that edge in 2.3. But if he can work his pass rush, I think he's got to develop a little bit more upper body strength, so his bull rush is more formidable, to tell you the truth. There's no reason he can't. I like his game. He played at Central Michigan for most of his career, you guys. He jumped up to Michigan to level, top level competition for one season, and they stuck him at tackle because they had an overload of edge guys. So he's really this kind of lump of clay still. He's got a lot of potential.
I'll give you a couple names. John Randall, Sam Mills, Ricky Prohl. There's a ton of guys that supposedly didn't belong in the NFL, and they were all great players. So
absolutely.
We'll see.
Doug, I agree with you, and that's exactly what we said a little bit ago, is that I don't see them as anywhere close, to tell you the truth. If Sammy had played 14 games a season, Sammy could have been Julio, but he's not. It's just
what they wanted Sammy to be and what he was when he was at his best and healthy. Yeah, but you'd get a lot more of what they wanted out of Julio, unless, like Ryan said, if this is the beginning of the fall. Yeah, this could be that time for Julio. Who knows?
That's the scary part. Julian, how are you? We're going to get you on the next Zoom too. Don't let me forget. I think the position needs go in order of DECB, and then I'd fix the linebacker core completely. I think controlling the middle of the field helps play. I do too. I start building a defense from the middle because he controls everything else. That said, I don't think they're looking for extreme impact out of the middle. I think they're looking for consistent play that can help everybody else. I think that's why they went after Nick Bolton. So I don't know that you have to rebuild that section. I think they're going to be. I think as long as it clicks for Willie, I feel like it's a pretty easy case to think that it's going to click for Nick. I think they're going to be happy with it. So I'm with you. Otherwise, man, absolutely.
I think a third linebacker, and if they can get a stud D tackle that pushes Noddy to the depth guy instead of the starting guy, because he's that good, then we're off to the races.
Yeah, absolutely. Alex, how do you feel about trading for Gallup instead? I didn't even know that he was on the block, and quite frankly, he's not anywhere near the same caliber player. It's worth going out of your way for a guy like Julio Jones. I don't know that it is for Gallup, or at least it isn't for me. Maybe it is for Brett Veach. Maybe it is for Mike Borgonzi, and Veach is like, okay. We got to remember is we always give Veach all the credit, and I'm terrible about this too. But Mike Borgonzi's in his ear. Ryan Poles is in his ear. Ryan Nutt is in his ear. They all do their work. It is a team in that front office, and I don't know that you can say that about all the teams around the league. And I do feel that we do gloss over that some a little bit too much. Cat Mavia says Kimball Anders better than T Rich. Oh, it's blasphemy, obvious, but I get that you get an opinion. I just disagree. Who would be better on the field for the Chiefs, Breeland or Steve Nelson? Breeland. Nelson would be better with less help in 2018, had no safety help and almost no corner help. Steve Nelson is a guy for himself. He's not a team player. I will take Breeland all day long.
Yeah. That play in the back of the end zone against Edelman, Steve Nelson wasn't making that play.
Nope, not at
He
all.
He didn't have the length or the speed to do that. Breeland baited one of the best quarterbacks in the history of the NFL to throw a ball in the wrong spot, and he just reached over a short guy and knocked it on the ground. It was awesome.
I agree with you. That's a very good point. If the Chiefs traded for Julio, it would put the other receivers' development for the future on the shelf, and the cap is strapped. The defense needs more attention. You know, Damani, it's a fair point because it does cut reps for everybody. But then again, like we were saying before, spreading the ball around is difficult. And so maybe he's not playing 80% of the snaps. Maybe he and Tyreek are down to like 60% of the snaps. So you can spread it around. But that said, I think we know what we have in Demarcus Robinson. Byron Pringle's got to make a big step forward in order to change what we know about him. I think he can do it, but he's got to have the opportunity. You're right about that. And Cornell Powell can take a year off to learn from Julio Jones, and he'll be none the worse for wear, I guarantee it.
I disagree with that statement. Not your statement, Ryan, but the statement in yellow. Oh, okay. You're making mental reps. You're a practice squad player. You better be making mental reps happen. You better be improving your game while you stand there and watch the experts, watch the great guys do it and getting better. Perfect example. I brought him up on the show a couple times back during the draft. Joe Horn, man, JC Horn's dad. That dude did not get reps. All that dude did was get better and better and better on the bench in Kansas City, Pro Bowler in New Orleans. It wasn't a waste. It kept him healthy. He didn't get banged up. He didn't get that wear and tear. And when he got his chance, he shined. So,
yeah. Aaron, you're right. He is a lawyer first. I always forget that until he reminds me of something. And a writer at net. I like that. Cast member. I just say crew, but yes.
Cast member.
That works just fine. I'm not a professional actor like Danilo. I am just a dude. Any interest in a Raiders safety if they cut any of the 8 on their roster? Info.
They're not going to cut the draft pick, so I don't really have interest.
No, and they're not going to cut Abrams. I'd have to look at who the other 7 are, but yeah, and I doubt Joseph's
it. Back. I don't want their other safeties. I don't like the way they play.
And the Chiefs want coverage first.
Yeah,
like they don't have Dan Sorensen because he's a thumper. They don't send him like Jamal Adams in on the pass rush. Like they like his coverage. You know that I wish he had a little bit more coverage, but they like his coverage. That's what they're looking for. And so I don't know that the fits are the same. I'd have to go look at who all those safeties are though. But I try not to look at Raiders rosters very often. Let's see. Okay,
they're turning into a linebacker. So
right. We are well over the hour, you guys. So we're going to hit a couple here and call it a night. If any of our RBs get hurt, I'd re-sign Le'Veon. He'd excel in the O behind the line. I mean, I thought so too last year. I don't know why he didn't. So I would question that as to what the issue was. But you're right. I mean, he certainly should fit on paper. Seth, I think Von Miller's a free agent after next year. Yeah, this is his last year under contract. He's also going to be 33-ish, I want to say. I'm not 100% on that, but it's something around there. Okay, looking for questions. Travis, thank you. I hope you have a question underneath. I'm going to keep looking for yours, but thank you for the super chat. Low Lips got one. How much sway does each position coach have in who the team drafts? This is a very good question. What's your you have anybody that stands out to you, Danilo?
I think honestly, I think it goes down to is the question or suggestion you're going to make, is it a thought bubble that's floating around in Brett Veach's head? Because I think he remembers what it was like to be the small guy in the room that had strong ideas. And if he brings, I think if a smaller guy brings a big idea to Brett Veach, if it's been circulating around in his brain and his brain can go, you know what, there is one other person thinking about this. Let me take a closer look at it. And if he talks to Andy and Andy doubles down on it, it's a done deal, I think. But I think it's really, I mean, getting him to look at somebody that, that he's got not even on his radar. I mean, I don't know if he has enough time in the day. He might try to do that. There's probably a lower level. I don't know how the hierarchy works there, but he's probably got somebody beneath him that they kind of send ideas up through. Unless they're all sitting at the table together when they do the breakdowns, that's another thing entirely. So I don't think it's position specific. I think it's what have you done for me lately? What ideas have you brought to the table, and how do those guys look? To how seriously he takes your ideas beyond just doing actual scouting assessment of players.
Yeah, so, I'd agree with you.
It's a big question.
The two guys that stand out to me that might have a little bit more specific pull in their evaluations than some of the other guys are going to be Andy Heck and Brendan Daly. Because they have so much to manage with those groups in each of the lines, that I think in the trenches with those guys, I think does have a little bit more pull with the scouting staff, who are very focused on skill players. From what I understand,
you went first rounders. I immediately went to the small fries on the the staff that nobody's going to be thinking about. I didn't even think about the top dogs. Like, Eric Bieniemy's probably got a little pull. Andy Reid, right. I was trying to think of like smaller, lower level. But yeah, absolutely. Reid and Daly they've shown they've earned their stripes.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Sure. I mean, obviously the coordinators do too, but for the position coaches, I think those two have a lot of input because they have to make guys not only better, but they have to make them play within a unit. And I think that's more difficult.
Play to the system.
Sounds. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Bob, I'm glad you're here. Welcome to the channel. This is mostly Chiefs football, but I will tell you, I think the Eagles are a little bit in trouble. I said that earlier, and I don't talk about basketball because NBA is terrible because they don't play defense.
I try not to think about the
I know nothing about the NBA because once a KU player goes to the NBA, I forget all about him. I'm here for the defense. If you can't take a charge, I'm not watching you. Let's see, Cole, did you ever get Bashad on Locked On Chiefs? No, Bashad has not responded to that, but the door is open. I said, hey, if you want to talk, I'm down.
I'm anytime. Trying on Chiefs chat too. I've put out the.
Oh yeah,
I've got some good interviews coming up in the summer leading up to the preseason. So we'll see.
Make sure you guys watch Carrington or listen to Carrington on 610. I think Bashad's going to go on there eventually. Cool. Carrington's a good dude, and we'll get Carrington back on here eventually too. Again, it's schedule stuff here at this point, you guys. Did I see you guys see that video of Eagles coach not happy about who they drafted? I didn't, but I'm not going to be surprised either.
You know what I heard about that? I didn't see it either, but Scott Pioli was on NFL Network on one of their shows, and he said, you know what? He goes, you might be surprised. He goes, that happens a lot more often than people realize. That's why the camera's not always on in the war room. It happens more than you think. Guys get really attached to certain players. They really want teams to go a certain way. Like if I was in the Chiefs room when they picked Breeland Speaks, I would have been like, Juju's right there. What are you? I would have probably lost my brain if I was in that room. As it was, I just was like, time to make a coffee, come back to the draft in a minute.
I missed a couple from Jake. Jake, I am very sorry. I don't know how I missed that. Especially when you're being generous. Thank you very much. Do you foresee any significant scheme changes in the offense this year, just to shake things up? Is there a fear that the NFL is catching up to KC's game? I think you will see a couple of things, most notably with the H, being able to use Noah Gray and what is kind of like the other puzzle piece to like a complete tight end picture from Travis Kelce. That's one thing that I would be looking for. I don't think they're catching up. I think the Chiefs want to keep pushing the envelope. What do you say?
I think a perfect example to look at as far as mimicry would be the Cowboys in that, they've locked in their quarterback the way we locked our quarterback in. They feel good about Dak. And then receiving core, they've already had more receivers than Dak can get the ball to. And they drafted Simi Fehoko and they signed TJ Vasher. They're trying to create some kind of super athletic receiving core to try to – there's teams that are trying to do what the Chiefs are doing. Yeah. We're seeing it happen right now. So they don't have Patrick, though.
Right. The only thing I think they're catching up to is the Chiefs had a weakness in the offensive line. They took care of that. Aaron, please hit me with anybody else. I'm going to go through the super chats one by one here as we go as well, because Jake had another one. Thank you again, Jake. Oh, wait, no, this is it. Okay, you're talking to Aaron. Okay, this is the other one. Since you commented about Tyreek and Julio, do you think that signing Julio would negatively affect Tyreek and push him to ask for a trade? No, I think it would push him to be even better. I think we both feel that way, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're probably buddies. I don't know how these guys see each other all the time. these guys grew up meeting each other in games and touring around the country, trying to go to different like these guys have known each other. All these players at this level have known each other since they were kids. So there's friendships and there's animosities that go back decades. So if they like each other, they like each other. If they don't, it's not going to change. Yeah. Him being there, he's going to be a teammate. If whoever comes in is a chief. And I think Tyreek's the team guy.
I think so too. I think given all that they've done and sticking with him, I think that he does feel like that. And Jake, again, I'm very sorry that I missed you. You always contribute, and I very much appreciate it. To others that I missed, Day, I'm sorry I missed you as well. How many tight ends do you see us keeping? I would like to keep Forston. I think they'll have 3. I don't think they can afford to go over that because I think they need more linemen. I'd like to see Forston win out too. But Jody's up against a pretty good group. It's going to be him and Blake Bell, I'm thinking. What do you think, Danila?
I think if it comes down to Fortson or Blake Bell, hopefully Fortson has done enough because we know what Blake is. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's okay. It's fine. But I want something more explosive and interesting on the other side of the field from Travis, especially when he's not going to have to block that much because Orlando's left arm's going to take care of whatever's over there. So, I think if the line goes 9 or 10, it dictates whether tight ends are 3 or 4. I think that's going to directly affect that.
Makes sense. Ben Brotek, thank you for yours. I'm sorry I missed you. You didn't have a comment on that one, so I may have missed it. I'll get you next week, I promise. Ian, I missed yours as well. Honest take on Kando. Looked up stuff and already get mixed reviews of him. You've heard Danilo's opinion. I am the lowest on Kando of this group, and I think he could eventually become a starter. So, I mean, that gives you a floor, I think. I just haven't seen enough consistently out of him. Again, this comes back to Brendan Daly. A season with him could completely change the player that kid is.
Man.
And he's got the physical tools.
Taco showed his potential finally before he got hurt last year. Finally. Yeah. Because it was with Brendan Daly.
Yeah.
This kid wakes up with traits and abilities and size and things that other people are never going to have. And he's shown things on tape that he can do things that other people can't do. Consistency and development. Those are the 2 things that are going to decide what he becomes.
Yeah, I agree with you. Thomas Roebuck, I'm sorry I missed you as well. I didn't see a question from that, but I know you asked them. I will find it next week if it's not in here because of my scrolling. Another, Wes, give your thoughts on the starting offensive line in week 1. Brown, Tooney, Humphrey, LDT, Long is where I'm leaning right now. Yeah, you're with that?
Yep.
Rock and roll.
That'd be great.
Geek on a Harley. I love that name. Well done. I am mowing the yard and was on a break. Just wanted to say, hey, bud. Never make it to these things, but wish could stay to finish. Well, have a decent beer after that. Have a long beer for me. Glad you made it there, Geek.
That is a great call sign. Geek on Harley.
That's awesome. Aaron, would you hit me with anybody else I might have asked? I might have missed, with the super chats. I have the list here, and I think I've got it down to Geek. Oh, and of course, Gooch just had to prove it. I'm working on the graphics, Gooch. What about trading a second this year and a third next year for Julio? Travis, my understanding is that they are requesting a second and third in 22. Hey, that's okay. I think at third round, where the Chiefs are picking in the 90s and should be picking in the 90s for the foreseeable future, I don't think it matters this year or next year. I think it's going to be fine. Aaron,
I think it'd be more palatable if we split them, but
yeah, obviously, but I don't think it's a huge impact.
No.
Okay, we answered that one. Good. I'm glad I got that. Let's see. Golden Paydirt, I hope you're right, dude. Cheers and thanks for showing up. Nice to see you again. 50-50, I will take. That would be very, very interesting in my opinion. Let's see. Aaron had another one for me.
I think based on the comments today about he's out E5000, I think it's now 51%.
51%.
I think there's one more percent in Brett's back pocket.
RGR football fan, glad you made it. Welcome to the memberships. I think you're going to have a good time. Steven, if were the drops in the Super Bowl was psychological or genuine concern? Yes and yes. I think there was some focus dips, and I think it is a bit of a concern.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
I mean, Tyreek, he shouldn't have been there. Tyreek had drawn triple coverage. Travis had one-on-one up the sideline, had a guy beat for a touchdown, and Tyreek looked to his right and saw Travis and the ball going that way, and he went that way, and he drew all the coverage that way, and Travis laid off. Go watch the play again. As a former receiver, I played mostly receiver when I played semi-pro. It was so frustrating because if Tyreek just sat down, the safety was coming downhill to cover him, and all Tyreek had to do was beat one DB for a touchdown. So that was selfishness, and I think Tyreek knows that and kicks himself for that every day. And you don't want to have to be thrown to Darryl. I mean, I love Darryl, but that's suboptimal. Let's put it that way. In that pressure situation, and it wasn't going to change the game. We weren't going to win the game at that point. It just would have been nice to lessen the pain.
Yeah. I mean, when there's a swarm of angry hornets around you, throw it to anybody you can see with the right
kill
color.
One hornet, you'll feel better,
right? Yeah,
a little bit.
Gooch, glad you're testing that for YouTube. I think they'll feel real assured that the thing still works. Thanks, brother. Natalie, thank you. Nice to see you back. And appreciate the super chat. Stevie, yep. I'm glad. And Stevie confirmed you guys are a 1-2 punch. Serious. The Vegas thing is not a bad idea.
Oh, jeez. Poor Bob.
Alex, would you guys like to sign a veteran goal line back? Oh no, we answered that one. Not necessarily, unless you changed your mind, Danilo.
No, maybe Burton will be that. Maybe he'll do that. Maybe he'll be that guy. Maybe it'll be like, let's not throw Clyde at that wall. Let's let Mr. Burton try. Let's see what happens.
If you guys missed it, Mike was on with me a couple weeks ago. It's in the search there. You just got to grab it on the channel. We have too much going on to keep up. Casey Masterpiece joined the memberships too. Glad to see it, dude. I think you'll enjoy it. That the Stevie Gooch shows are going to be fun, or the Gooch Stevie show. I'm not trying to give top billing. I don't know. You guys you're a pair. You're freaking Abbott and Costello at this point, as far as I'm concerned. Or maybe it should be Penn and Teller. I don't know. No, you both talk too much. Never mind. That's it for us, folks. That is the super chats. Looks like I got everybody. Looks like we're only 25 minutes over. Sorry, Danilo. I hope you didn't have
hit the like and subscribe. When you leave here, go watch that Burton video. It's awesome. It's so good.
There you go. Like, subscribe, hit the bell. Thank you guys very much. Have good dinner. I'm going to go cook for my kids, and we will talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one.
Take care.